Shalom Aleichem, everybody. Today's daf is daf Nun Tes, and we start from the 5 lines from the top. Reb Chia bar Abba ikla legavla. Reb Chia bar Abba came to a place called Gavla. Chazar b'nei Yisrael demi Abram avid kchav shamalu v'leitavlu. He saw that b'nei Yisrael were having children from goyim that were mal l'shem geiros, but didn't have a tefillah l'shem geiros. Chazar chamra the mozgov kchav b'shas Yisrael. He saw wine that was diluted by goyim. Goyim poured water into it to dilute it, and Yidden were drinking from it. Also, he saw chazar termusa, the shalkalo v'cham v'achle Yisrael. And he saw termusa, which is a type of vegetable that needs to be cooked before you eat it. He saw goyim cook it, and Yidden eat it. And he didn't say a word. Rabbi Rabbi was just quiet, and shtika kaida. It seemed like he agreed with them. As he came to Rabbi Yochanan, he told him what he saw. Omer later, Rabbi Yochanan says, "Teva hachras al bnei shem mamzerim." Go back and tell them that all the kids are mamzerim. V'ayena b'shem yayin nesach, and the yayin is osim b'shem yayin nesach. V'atarmusa b'shem shelo yicham b'shem she'ena b'nei Torah, and also paskin that their termusan are bishul akum because they're not b'nei Torah. That last one we'll see in a moment. Why that particular isser is only because they're not b'nei Torah. Zug the Gemara. Abneim shem mamzerin. Why did Rabbi Yochanan say that their children are mamzerin? Rabbi Yochanan tameid am Rabbi Yochanan illuminate ger sheyimol v'yitboil. Whole machlokas in Yavamas whether milas enough or tefillah enough, or they need both. And Rabbi Yochanan says we paskin that you need mila and tefillah. V'kivin loy tavel. And since this goy wasn't tavel, oivit kechavamu. He's mamash oivit kechavim. V'omer Rabbi Yochanan. Oivit kechavim ve'ever al bas Yisrael vlad mamzer. In other words, just because oivit kechavim doesn't make the vlad mamzer. So the Gemara, yes. Rabbi Yochanan holds that oivit kechavim al bas Yisrael have vlad mamzer. Why? Because there ain't kedushin taifsim ba. Anyone the kedushin that you can't do kedushin on, that is the criteria. The vlad is a mamzer. Exoir al yeinu m'shem yein nesach, and also be goizer on their wine that it's yein nesach m'shem leich leich amin l'zir s'chor 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 l'karmel l'tikrav. So exoir d'rabanan that you have to be marchik, just like a nazir to be marchik from the kerem. You should be marchik from yain nesach when a goy dilutes your wine with water. V'al termusa m'shem shulav k'chavim l'shvein sh'eina b'nei Torah. And termus and their vegetable, asem shem bishul akum, because they're not b'nei Torah. The Gemara says, 1 second, slow down. Time and de'ina b'nei Torah, b'nei Torah shari. For b'nei Torah would be mutter. V'omer of Shmuel Yitzchak Merav. Kol shenechal k'mo yishu chai, ein b'shem bishul akum. Only anything that's eaten raw as is and doesn't need to be cooked, that's no problem bishul akum if a guy cooks it. But termusan, it needs to be cooked. It needs to be cooked a bunch of times actually before you can eat it. So l'chayr should be bishul akum even for b'nei Torah. There's another member of Rav, another Girsa, of what Rav said. The criteria for Bishul Akum is anything that's oil al shulchan malachim and a guy cooks. If it's not oil al shulchan malachim, then it's mutter. And termus is not oil al shulchan malachim. So according to that version of Rav, then it should be mutter. Or it says time and b'nei Torah. It's only because they're not b'nei Torah. That's why aser to b'nei Torah shari. But for b'nei Torah it's mutter because it's not oil al shulchan malachim. But if they're not b'nei Torah, they didn't want to be mezalzel in all these surah bishul akum, so they're machmer even on this. Shtieble became to Rav Kahana whether a goy is allowed to deliver, to carry the baskets of grapes that you harvest from the vineyard to the wine press. Can a goy do it? Now, truth is, right? Why not? Right? I had a whole sugya earlier, Mishnah Rishayna, Mishnah Achroina, but according to both Mishnayos and Rav Huna, yeah, the wine only is subject to the halachas of yain nesach only once it starts being nimshach from the wine press into the bar, right? In the process of winemaking, there is a gas where you press the wine, then there's a tzinoir. Whatever liquid comes out goes into the pipe, and then it comes to the bar where it ferments. So there, the Gemara had a whole discussion, right? At what point in the winemaking process do we call it yayin for yain nesach, to be subject to the halachas of yain nesach? And over there, the Gemara said, right, l'chumra, yeah, Rav Huna, the Mishnah Achreina, is only kadei limashich once it starts going from the gas to the bar. But to deliver it, bavadai, that's not a problem, right? But still, I guess they were asking it mishum chumra. Yeah, Omer Lu Aser, mamish like this. In other words, Avad al pi halacha. We're not asking halacha. We're asking harchaka. That's the sugya. Dardurin argigis katanas. Rashi says in the top. They're small barrels. Even though the liquid, the anovim, one on top of the other, and it gets squashed, and you have juice coming out of it. So it's still mutter because it doesn't have a din of wine. It's just grape juice. You say, heavy. And this din of archaka, of staying away from goyim altogether, even before it becomes wine, that's only lekatchila. But the Evad, you're talking about a brisa which says heavy. Heavy means he already did it. Okay, but the Evad were matter. Esrog fell into a chavius of yayin, right, a barrel of wine. And a guy jumped in, I guess he put his hand into the barrel, and he grabbed the esrog. Now, before he was able to pull it out, right, Rashi yelled out, grab his hand, make sure, hold it tight so he doesn't move it around, don't move the wine around, l'shem nisach. A bartzua, don't let him take it out, because even if you hold his hand, you let him take it out, he could still be meshachshich, he could still move it around. So bartzua, the shaifa, and as you're holding his hand in the barrel, right, don't let him take it out, tilt the barrel and have the wine come out until you clear the hand. Bartzua the shaifa. If a goy is menasach the wine of a yid bekavona, afal gav the lazabuni lo evitkom achrina aser, even though it's aser ba'ano, you can't sell to another guy. Shorule lemishkul dmei meuvad kchavmi, you can take money from this guy who was mazik his wine. My timer mikla kalye, because the guy aser on the yid, and it's like he burnt. He was ma'abed this wine, and he has to pay the yid on medin mazik. So it's not that the yid is selling him the wine, the yain nesach. It's that the guy has to do tashlumei nezek for the wine that he was ma'abed. So that's mutter. That's the chiddush of Rashi. Amar Rashi, how do I know this chiddush? The Tanya, it's a brayso. Aser. A guy that was menasach, the wine of a Jew. I guess he was meshachshech his yadayim, he moved his hand in the wine. Even if he did it not in front of the Avodah Zarah, aser. It's aser filubano. Right? Rabbi Yoel say matirin. They're matir the wine b'shnei devarim. Echad. They hold she'ein menaschen yain elo b'fnei Avodah Zarah. That's not called nisach. Goyim don't do nisach unless it's in front of the Avodah Zarah. Ve'echad, another reason to be matir, she'oimer loy lo kala mencha shetesi yeni lo insi. Right? I never told you to do this. You went against my will, and you asked my wine. You don't have the power to do that. So Lamaisa, we don't hold like Rabbi ben Bav and Rabbi ben Beseira to be matir the yayin lagamri, right? We don't allow that. We don't allow that. We don't allow the person to have a no from the wine, which means you could sell it to anybody. But we do take from their opinion just one brekela, one shtickle, that you could charge them, the guy who did it, at least from him you could take the value that he was mazik you. That you could do. And that was Rav Ashi's makar. It says the Gemara, Hi chavisa de chamra, de shtakel lebarza. They took out the stopper from this chavias. Osav yichav idrei anach yidei eluyei. So he right away jumped and put the stopper back into the barrel. Any wine that's next to that hole is aser to drink. Right? Now he's matrid bahano. Why was he matrid bahano? Because there's no shichshach from the outside. You just put the stopper back in. And all the rest of the wine is mutter even to drink. Okay, he was answering not just whatever is against the stopper, but also he was answering from the wine that's from the top until the berez, the idach shari, and the rest of the wine is mutter. Whatever is below the berez, that's mutter. Why? Because whatever is on top, that would have leaked out. So that's miyuchas, that is connected to the guy's action. But whatever was below the berries, that wouldn't have leaked out, so that's not to do with the guy's action. That's why he was matir whatever's below. Amar Rav Yema Katanoi. Rav Yema said, "Stamachlekes Tanoim. Chavi is shenikva bein mepia bein mishalel bein matzedel v'noga betfol yoim tmeya." Rabbi Yehuda Omer mepia mishalel tmeya matzedel tohayda mekan mekan. Same halacha with a chavius of truma, yain shel truma, and there was a nekev in the chavius, right, and a tvul yoim. Somebody who's mechusar tvila. He's tamei, touched the nekev, So the Tanakama holds Tameya, the ganze chavius is Tamei. Rabbi Yehuda says no. Mipiyah mishaleh Tameya. Whatever is directly in front of the nekev is aser. Mitzideo tohoira mikana mekan. Whatever's on the side, in other words, on top, the bottom, and the sides, that's tahor, and only the yain and the nekev is tamei. So whatever Rav Papa paskind is only according to Rabbi Yehuda, but Tanakama argues. Okay, we'll stop over here. Shekayach.